Hello, Internet. My name's Janoob, and today I'm going to be giving you a bit of insight into how the perk High Impact Reserves works for fusion rifles. The short answer is it's weird. The perk is understood to be an increase in damage for shots taken in the latter half of the magazine, which is all well and good, but it used to be almost completely non functional in PvP. It used to be that it didn't proc after respawning or reloading, only procking after the first shot had been fired from that point. Up until today, I thought that was still the case, but it looks like I was wrong. But so's everyone else. High Impact Reserves was not quite fixed so much as Bungie taped a band aid over the problem and hoped it would go away on its own, and I will show you what I mean by that. Here are some shots taken on respawn or immediately after a reload with a glacioclasm that has high impact reserves. Now you'll notice that some of the bolts get the buff while others don't. Compare this to a shot at 2 in the magazine that was not immediately after a reload or respawn. All of the bolts get the buff. Now I've got a hypothesis for what exactly Bungie did with this perk. For some reason, they couldn't fix the original issue, and High Impact Reserves still can't detect that you've just spawned or reloaded with less than half in the mag, which is all the time. So instead, they make the perk continuously check your mag size while you're firing. This means that the first few bolts, anywhere from 1 to 4 from the look of it, will deal normal damage, while the remaining bolts will appropriately deal buffed damage. Here's some shots taken against a barricade and a bubble that seem to support this hypothesis. All of the low damage bolts are at the beginning of a shot, while all of the high damage bolts are at the end of the shot. Interestingly, this jury-rigged fix explains one very, very weird interaction I was seeing. When firing from 3 in the mag, which is not yet below half for the Glacioclasm, Ilatha, Erentil, those model fusion rifles, the final bolt in the shot seems to consistently be buffed despite the shot itself being above half of the magazine size. This is because while firing, the ammo ticks down before all the bolts are actually shot out of the gun, as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner. So what does all this mean? When you spawn or reload, that first shot that you take is only going to have high impact reserves for some of the bolts, specifically the later ones. So if you're banking on those 50 damage bolts, don't be surprised when you don't actually get them if you only land the first 3 or 4 bolts of your shot. Now the obvious question after all this is, well, what about under pressure, which increases the stability and range as the magazine gets lower? We unfortunately couldn't find a consistent way to test it, so we didn't, but I'm going to give you the 2 likely scenarios here. The first is that under pressure received the exact same fix that high impact reserves did, and it functions some of the time, but not for the first half of your first shot after respawn or reload. For stability and range, I think this is a bit more damning than a loss of a small amount of damage, since stability is most impactful at the beginning of a fusion rifle shot, trying to help it keep from running off target early, since the last 2 or 3 bolts in a shot are the hardest to hit with. The second scenario is that under pressure still functions exactly as it did at peak bugginess, and it does absolutely nothing for the first shot after respawn or reload. I don't know which of these scenarios is more likely, I don't know which one is correct, but I think those are the 2 obvious answers to how does under pressure function given how high impact reserves functions. I hope DMG or Cosmo reaches out to the design team and helps us figure out why this is a bug in the first place. So no matter the case, I urge caution for any new Voopers out there playing with their glacioclasms. Under pressure and high impact reserves may seem great, but in practice they're very, very inconsistent right now. And that is the only thing you want out of a fusion rifle. I'm not going to ask you to like or subscribe to anything. I don't give a shit about any of that. None of it matters to me. Stay safe. See you Starside. Something something. My name is Bife. Goodbye. Also, for the love of God, wear a mask, you heathens.